If the issue is that kids are having these conversations in whispers in the back of the classroom, you need to understand that you have kids in your classroom. They will do that forever. There will never be a point in time where your kids in your classroom setting are not doing things behind your back. When I was doing my HTML courses, we were playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In the back of the classroom. When I was in my chemistry class, we were playing Magic the Gathering. Like, that is just a thing that happens with kids. Not all of them want to pay attention to their lessons. It doesn't mean that you should not try to still teach your lesson. So I hate how many times it always comes down to Texas. No matter how many times I talk about stuff on this channel, we always find a way to drift into Texas. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and get into the fan art section. We have from Kiri, or Expired Popsicle. It said Suris abs because of the last talk. You know, I'm going to be honest. I cannot tell if these are boobs or pecs. I know they're boobs because they've got like the gripping on the shirt here. But I do think that's wonderful. Like, it's very androgynous, not being able to tell the difference between the two. I actually kind of like it. The next one is from Ink. Suris abs 2 Electric Boogaloo. This must have been when I did the video on Sargon. This probably had to have been when I did the video on Sargon. It has to have been. Expired Popsicle. Holy shit, I didn't realize you were in the chat. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. We actually have the artist in the chat. The next one we have here is from Small Blue Knives. Said it is a work in progress, obviously, of a slime Suris. And then we'll have to see how that turns out when it is done. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions, and if you want your fan art to be shown in a future episode, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into things after Douthamir. Thank you so much for the follow, and Quethom, thank you so much for the 100 bits, and the Ambassador also, thank you for using your points for an oh. Expired Popsicle says it was in response to the video with Sargon. Then the context is certainly not lost. I got it in one. Alrighty. So, what we're about to see is a video of Shelley Luther, who is a Texas GOP candidate and a former teacher. And she's going to make some remarks that I will probably have some remarks too. Let's go ahead and begin.
I don't know any other counties that are more Bible Belt conservative than this district.
That's not exactly a good thing, but okay.
And it's the Overton window. They have AOC in Congress on the left. And what we have done is become comfortable with what is okay in our society.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Overton window here. The Overton window is basically the acceptable range of politics within a particular geographical area or a time frame. So, for instance, during the era of Trump, a lot of people in America got a lot more comfortable with ideas that lean very, very far right, to the point of extremism, even to the point where some of them can actually line up with ideas that would be considered fascistic. Now, on the same line, we have had some shift over in the Overton window to the left. It's not a zero-sum game. There are some more far-left ideas that are considered normal within the Overton window as well. When she's talking about AOC, what is AOC politically? As far as I know, Democratic Socialist, which, let's be honest, is not as far left as you can go. If she is mad about Democratic Socialists being in a political party, that is certainly nowhere near as far left as you could be, to the point of being uncomfortable. AOC, Kiyosaki says AOC is inching the window to the left, and that is fair. Like, she definitely does inch it further to the left, just like Bernie Sanders does inch it further to the left. It said AOC is Soc Dem? Okay. So Social Democrat. So even less left. Granted, I'm using chat as my litmus test, but if that is the case, then even less left than what I was describing. So if that's where you're uncomfortable, where the Overton window sits, I have some bad news for you. But anyway, let's continue.
I am not comfortable with the transgenders, the kids that they brought in my classroom. when they said that this kid is transgendering into a different sex, that I couldn't have kids laugh at them like I couldn't have...
Hold on, what? Okay, so let me... Because this is a fun thing we get to do whenever we're talking about whatever the minority group conservatives have an issue with at this point in time. There's a fun little experiment you can do. Replace the word trans with gay, and then replace it with black. Because historically, it's been, you know, black people in America needed to get their rights, gay people in America needed to get their rights, and while we're still working on a lot of the minutia, like there's obviously still a shit ton of bigotry in places like law enforcement and shit that deal with people who are gay and black and just pretty much any minority groups in general. Like, we do have stats on that. But if you were to replace the word trans with gay, let's see if how that sentence holds up. They brought a gay kid into my class, and I'm not okay with the gays, and I couldn't have my kids make fun of the gay kid. This gets even more awkward when we change it to black. They had a black kid come into my class, and I'm not okay with the blacks. And now that they're in the class, I can't have my kids make fun of them, and that's not okay. Do you see how this statement sounds like completely ludicrous every time we put in an oppressed group? Well, it turns out that trans people are also an oppressed group, so it's just as fucking ludicrous when we talk about it here. If we need to be reminded of what was said, we'll just go through that one more time. That way we don't break off the context of the next words here. But
kids that they brought in my classroom.
Also, the whole, like, I'm not okay with the transgenders, literally just say, I'm not okay with the gays, and it sounds just as bad. And let's point out for people in the audience, being trans is not something you have control over. You don't have control over what gives you gender euphoria. You don't have control over what gives you gender dysphoria. And if somebody wants to go like, if gender is a social construct, then why does it actually affect you? May I talk to you about the social construct of money that affects literally every aspect of your life right now? You can't just press a button and magically do away with money, just like you can't press a button and magically do away with the concept of gender. We are in a post-gender world. We are in a post-money world. These social concepts are things that we have to deal with because they are here. You can't just magically wish them away. It's functionally like saying, get thicker skin. I'm sorry. Psychological issues don't work with that. And, oh, by the way, lack of money causes psychological stress, too. So if we just need to point out that social concepts, social constructs can, in fact, cause people psychological stress, that's a pretty normal thing. You mean cis women who get dysphoria from PCOS-induced facial hair can't just ignore the issue? I know, right? Right? Isn't that so weird that dysphoria can even exist for people who aren't trans? Strange, huh?
When they said that this kid is transgendering into a different sex.
Transgendering into a different sex. Please tell me you don't understand what the fuck is going on with that child without saying that.
That I couldn't have kids laugh at them like I couldn't have...
She's sitting there like she's stun-locked. Did she realize right here what she said? Did it take her... Did she have this moment of like... Oh God, I just said that. Fuck. My mask. Can somebody please get my mask of concerned parent and or teacher and help me put it back on? It seems to have fallen off and revealed something much more nasty on the inside.
Like other kids got in trouble for having transgender kids in my class. That's why I vote for school choice. And my opponent is completely against school choice.
What?
Thank you.
That feels like she literally backpedaled. Watch. She walks back.
Got in trouble for having transgender kids in my class. That's why
other kids get in trouble for having transgender kids in my class. How did other kids get in trouble for having trans kids in your class? How is that a thing? Also, yeah, the school choice thing is a bit of a dog whistle because for those who don't know, in America, schools are funded primarily by property taxes, which means that this means that if you are in a geographical area that makes not a whole lot of money, the schools you have access to are the schools that are funded by your property taxes. So if you're in a low-income area, you get low-income schools. This is typically a thing that is made to keep poor districts poorer, but the glory of redlining will always paint United States politics. But past that, when we look at this, when we're looking at this situation, we have somebody who's saying, oh, kids should be able to leave the class because they're not comfortable being in a classroom with a trans kid. Again, do the exercise. Change trans to gay and then change it to black. And if it sounds fucking stupid when you do it, it was fucking stupid to begin with. Boy, howdy, I don't have much problem with the blacks, but as it turns out, my son was very uncomfortable being in a non-segregated classroom for the first time in his life. Now, I believe that we should have the ability for our suburban children to live in different towns and or cities and go to different schools where they do not have to be in non-segregated classrooms. Does it sound fucking bigoted and stupid when I say that? Yes, it does. Because it is. Increase the dial a couple years, and you just have that conversation about gay people. Increase the dial a couple years, and now you're here. God's the idea of this person teaching students make me sick? Yep. Like, I unironically, if this person were still teaching, I would love the ability to, like, de-age myself, be a kid in their classroom, and just make life hell for them in a classroom setting. Like, think about this. You know all those, like, real-life Nickelodeon shows where they had, you know, like, the class clown that would just make things difficult for the teacher? And that was just the thing they did. They lived for that. That would be me in that classroom. Living for the sole purpose of frustrating this person. Think Timmy in Fairly Odd Parents. With his conspiratorial Alex Jones-esque teacher screaming about fairy godparents all the time. I would be Timmy. That's what I would want to be in this situation. Just like, yes, I am here to ruffle your feathers. Consider this, Suris's representative is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, he is Southern. Yep. Fairy God conservatives! De-age and go back to your old school, but this time you run the Gay Straight Alliance for your school. Jeebus. But anyway, that was certainly a thing that we had to witness. Shelley Luther, GOP candidate of Texas, former teacher, saying transgender children make her uncomfortable, and she complained that she wasn't allowed to have the classmates make fun of them. How do we get to this point? How do we get to this point? How do we get to the point where this is, like, considered a normal thing? Now, we do have a little more information where she's concerned. The Houston Chronicle has some more info here. There's one bit that I wanted to talk about here. Luther said in an email to the Houston Chronicle that she respected and supports all students, but claimed it became hard for her to teach because the topic of gender transition became the top discussion every day in my classroom. There's an easy way to handle this. Learn about what gender transition is, which you could do. Like, you're a teacher. You should be able to do this. This shouldn't be very difficult for you to do. But learn about that, and then during one of your classes go, hey, I hear y'all talking about this a lot, and I understand that it's a very important thing because we have a kid in our class who is trans. Let's talk about what this is real quick. And then if you guys want to continue to have these conversations, please have them outside of my class because I am trying to teach on a specific topic. So you both give them the information that they need as a teacher, which is your job, because this is something they're very curious about. And after giving them the information, you basically make a deal with the kids. Hey, I talked about it as a topic. I talked about it with all of you. Now we need to have this discussion in places where it is more appropriate. So like in the lunchroom and stuff. And not inappropriate because being trans is inappropriate in a classroom, but inappropriate because it's making it hard for the teacher to actually do their job of teach. Now, granted, I don't think this is a thing the teacher could ever do. I don't think this is a thing they would do. Love you, sir. Love the chat. If the issue is that kids are having these conversations in whispers in the back of the classroom, you need to understand that you have kids in your classroom. They will do that forever. There will never be a point in time where your kids in your classroom setting are not doing things behind your back. When I was doing my HTML courses, we were playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In the back of the classroom. When I was in my chemistry class, we were playing Magic the Gathering. Like, that is just a thing that happens with kids. Not all of them want to pay attention to their lessons. It doesn't mean that you should not try to still teach your lesson. But you've got to have a little give and take there. And you have to ask yourself the question, are you not comfortable with your classroom talking about trans stuff because it's interrupting your lesson, which is valid? Or are you not comfortable with it because you are not comfortable with trans people, which is not valid? But y'all take your pick. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below. And do you think that a strategy of, hey, let's go ahead and have a class talk about this, and then afterwards move the conversation to somewhere else so we can focus on the things that I need to teach you, the things I need to prepare you for? If y'all think that's a valid strategy, let me know. If y'all think there are some holes in it, let me know in the comment section below. And let me know what you would do in this situation. Again, this person literally gives me the thought that I want to just be the class clown in their classroom, making it harder for them to teach after hearing that. What do you think? Wait, that image was her? Yes. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, consider doing that. If you want to support the channel and what I do, there's plenty of ways to do so. You can hop over on Twitch, hit the follow button. You can also go to Patreon and check out what I've got going over there where the vlog content is concerned. But past all that, thank you all for watching. And as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.